Welcome to the Stoic Quotient, where truth takes precedence over popularity, where we speak to the parts of you that are done being polite at the cost of your own peace, and where we challenge the illusion that your value is tied to how much of yourself you give away. Let's look into the energetic cost of pleasing everyone and why you keep saying yes and getting less you give. You smile. You say yes when you mean no, but deep down, you're tired, and nothing's changing. In this emotionally gripping episode of the Stoic Quotient, we expose the silent epidemic of people-pleasing, and why it's not just a bad habit, but a full-on energetic leak that's robbing you of your clarity, confidence, and capacity to rise. If you've ever wondered why your life feels small, your frequency diluted, and your soul quietly resentful, this message is your liberation. If you've ever felt exhausted from being everything to everyone, stay with us, because what's draining you isn't just your schedule, it's your silence. You don't need another productivity hack. You don't need another morning routine. What you need is to stop abandoning yourself in the name of being liked. You've been taught to say yes before you check in with your body, to smile when your boundaries are violated, to carry other people's discomfort so they won't have to feel it. And you wonder why your energy is low, why your confidence is cracked, why the universe keeps handing you scraps when you've been giving away gold. Here's the truth. People-pleasing is one of the most deceptive forms of self-sabotage because it wears the mask of kindness. On the surface, it looks like compassion. It looks like being agreeable, helpful, generous. But beneath it, there's a quiet desperation to be accepted at any cost. Every time you say yes, when your soul screams no, you're not just losing time, you're leaking energy. You're watering down your essence to fit into spaces that don't respect your truth. And over time, that constant self-abandonment doesn't just exhaust you, it alters your frequency. You become a broadcast of blurred intentions, mixed messages, and unspoken resentment. The universe can't hear you clearly. You can't hear yourself clearly. Because when your kindness is rooted in fear, it stops being kind. It becomes a currency of survival. You can't manifest a powerful life with a fragmented spirit. You can't call in abundance when your yes is fake and your no is buried under guilt. You can't rise if your loyalty is constantly being weaponized against your peace. But no one talks about this. They praise you for being so dependable. They love how easygoing you are. They adore your ability to hold it all together. But you know the truth. You're not holding it together. You're holding yourself hostage. Because deep down, you're tired of being loved for the version of you that keeps disappearing. And here's where it gets brutal. Every time you say yes out of fear of conflict, rejection, disappointment, you teach your nervous system that your truth is dangerous. You wire your body to believe that your needs are a threat, that silence is safer than boundaries, that acceptance is worth any internal cost. And so the universe mirrors that distortion. It gives you jobs that drain you, friendships that use you, relationships that leave you gasping for air because your frequency is broadcasting, I don't matter, as long as you're happy. Don't betray your principles for the applause of the crowd. Stoic wisdom. The Stoics never sought approval, they sought alignment. They believed that to live a good life was not to be loved by many, but to be anchored in virtue, even if you stood alone. You were not made to please everyone. You were made to live in accordance with your highest self. And sometimes that means disappointing people who benefit from your silence. Sometimes that means letting go of nice to step into truth. Because people-pleasing is not kindness, it's a slow, spiritual suicide. But here's what makes it even more tragic. You're not people-pleasing because you're weak. You're doing it because somewhere along the way, you were trained to believe that love had to be earned. Maybe you were the peacemaker in your family. Maybe you learned early that being useful made you feel worthy. Maybe you believed that if you made others comfortable, they'd finally stay. But they didn't, and they won't. Because love built on suppression is not love, it's manipulation dressed in survival. So how do you stop? How do you reclaim your energy? You start by realizing this. Every time you choose yourself, someone will call it selfish. Let them. Every time you set a boundary, someone will call it rude. Let them. Every time you stop showing up in ways that drain you, someone will say you've changed. Good, because you have. You've stopped negotiating your value. You've stopped offering discounts on your soul. You've stopped mistaking approval for purpose. At the Stoic Quotient, we don't just preach self-awareness, we call out the unseen chains. The ones you wear with a smile. The ones disguised as obligation. The ones that make you betray your peace in the name of being a good person. But a good person without boundaries is a tired person, and a tired person is not in their power. So if you want your energy back, your clarity back, your life back, start saying no with love. Start letting go of who you're supposed to be, and start becoming who you already are. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Epictetus. To break the cycle of people-pleasing, you have to be willing to disappoint others in order to finally stop disappointing yourself. And that is virtue. That is discipline. That is what raises your Stoic Quotient. This is the Stoic Quotient, where we wake up the parts of you that have been apologizing for existing, where we teach you how to lead, not through performance, but through alignment. If this resonated with you, share it. Like, subscribe, stay connected. Because the more you raise your Stoic Quotient, the more your life will reflect your worth, not your wounds. And if no one else has told you lately, you don't have to be everything for everyone. You just have to be true to you. The ones who matter will meet you there. Thanks for being with us.